Hello, welcome to the first episode of me podcast. My name is Medieval Tom. I don't normally talk like that. So this is my first episode of a podcast, and today, this is my little remote. I like to pretend that I'm official. So I'm going to talk about terrible job experiences I've had, and I've had quite a few as someone who works in the service industry, and we're gonna break it up into sections. And this is probably gonna be a little bit shorter just because it's my first time. I'm testing it out. See if you guys are interested in hearing personal stories from me. So I guess to start out, I'm not going to name drop any of these places, even though maybe I should. There's this one place that I worked at. It was a pizzeria, and it was a walking OSHA violation. So the temperature was always above 80 degrees because the oven was really hot and our AC never worked. People underage would work until 2 in the morning because we needed people. We didn't get breaks. We didn't even get free food or anything. Anytime you would ask for water, they'd be like, there's a faucet right over there. And if we took any of the bottled waters from the cooler, guess what? We had to pay for them. So anyway, walking OSHA violation kind of sets the scene for you. Also, I was the only woman working there. It was me and all men. It was just me and a bunch of college to teenage age boys. And so that's step one of a terrible situation. So I guess this kind of sets the tone for the story I'm about to tell. So I live in a bigger city, and we would stay open until 2 in the morning. So we would stay open until 2, and we would open up the store at like 11. So we were open all day. And we were also the only place around that was open until 2. So anyone who was drunk, took some drugs, and decided that they were hungry came into our store. So there was one night where it was just me, my manager, and a driver. And the driver was out, and the manager was in the cooler, in the walk-in cooler, and he was taking inventory. And if you have ever worked in a food service job and you have a cooler, you will know that those things are soundproof. Those things, they do not have any sound escape them. So when I was up front alone, I was cutting a pizza, and then I looked over and I saw someone coming in, and I was like, okay, cool. And so the guy started to come in, and I was like, just a minute, sir, I'll be right with you. And he comes in, and I start to walk over, and I notice that he's not wearing pants. Or I should say he's wearing half pants. And by this, I mean he's wearing pants, but one side of his pants is shredded so much that his thing is showing. So I obviously get a little freaked out, and I'm like, sir, you can't be in here. I need you to leave. You have to leave. And he ignored me. He kept walking towards me, and so we had a little front counter, and there was a little walk space. He walked straight through that. He walked straight through that towards me, and of course I'm over here going, hey manager man, I might need your help, hello. And he is in the walk-in. He doesn't really hear me until the guy's already charging at me, and then my manager happens to come out just on his own accord. And so he comes out, and there's this guy charging at me, and my manager steps in front and goes, whoa, dude, we need you to get out. And the guy doesn't really listen. He goes to our little cooler, takes 3 Mountain Dews, and sits in our lobby and chugs them. He did not try to leave. He sat there, accepted his fate as we called the cops, and then a guy came and took him away. And we never saw him again. I quit shortly after that because this all happened at like 1:30 in the morning because I had done shifts where it was 7 p.m. to 2. The tips were amazing. I made $100 in tips almost every night that I worked. But it was not worth it, and I just decided that I was gonna move off to bigger and better things. there was that. It was kind of terrifying. And I just recently learned that that same pizzeria got robbed. There was a girl who kind of replaced me as being the only girl in the store, and so she replaced me, and it recently got robbed, and she was the only one in the store besides a driver, and she got held at gunpoint, and the GM and area manager were trying to get her fired because she gave the robber all of the money from the safe and everything because she was scared. And the GM and AGM are trying to go ahead and get her fired because they thought that she wasn't doing her job. She eventually became a manager. And so, yeah. So, walking OSHA violation on top of the fact that they treat their customers and workers like absolute trash. That is one of my stories. I think another good one is the place I work at now. It is much nicer. It is not a walking OSHA violation. This new place, we are a big hotspot for college kids after game day. We were a big hotspot for it. And there was one time where a guy came in the morning. I wasn't there yet, but a guy came in the morning and he asked to use the bathroom. And he was completely shit-faced. He could not even talk, walk. All he said apparently was bathroom. And he bought stuff, so we let him into the bathroom, and my manager in the morning had no idea that this guy had gone to our bathroom, he shit himself, and instead of, trying to clean up a little bit, what he did was he shit his pants, he took off his underwear, and he stuffed the underwear behind the toilet in our bathroom. He stuffed that there, and he also got shit all over the bathroom. We were not aware of it until someone else got let into the bathroom, and they were like, Did you know about this? You might want to check this out. And so my manager went in. He had to clean up this guy's feces, and he missed the underwear that was hidden behind the toilet, and so you'll never guess what had to happen when the night crew, aka me and my other manager, came in and saw that there was underwear in the little toilet area. So let me backtrack a little bit. It's important to note that the reason that we even found the underwear to begin with is the fact that here is our bathroom, and it's separated by a wall, and then here is our dish pit area. Let me just get straight to the point. Shit started coming out of the dish area, out of the drain, because the guy clogged the toilet so bad with his feces that it backed up our entire sewer system. Our entire sewer system was backed up, and literal feces was coming out of the dish pit area. We had to call a plumber. So we called the plumber, and he came in, and he was the one, originally, who found the underwear. The infamous underwear that was behind the toilet. And so, my other manager decided to clean up the bathroom because he had to. That's not something that you can just not do in a service industry. Hate to break it to you. So he went ahead and he cleaned up the bathroom. And in the meantime, we couldn't use the dish area, obviously. And so we have a little dishwashing machine that's right next to the drain where the feces is coming out. And so I had to wash all of the dishes by hand. And that's fine. I don't really care. Whatever. But when the plumber was pumping the drains, it was the worst smell I have ever smelled in my entire life. I almost vomited 3 separate times. It was the worst smelling thing ever. It was just one of the worst experiences of my life. So we had to wait for the plumber to fix everything, and then he left. And so I cleaned up the drain area while almost vomiting every 2 seconds. But then we were stuck there until 2 in the morning. We were stuck there until 2 in the morning because our dish area was covered in human feces. So if by some crazy fate, the guy who shit in the undisclosed name restaurant bathroom after game day, I hope you feel bad. And I hope that you don't shit in random bathrooms or shit your pants in random bathrooms and then leave your underwear as a little gift for the workers. We don't want that gift. I can guarantee you we don't want that gift. So those are my 2 stories. We're gonna move on. I have more stories, but I'll save those for later if this does well. So we're gonna move on to my favorite segment of this, called Rizz pickup lines that definitely would not work in the real world. I'll workshop that title. But this is the pickup line segment where I have been tried to be picked up multiple times in my entire time of service working. There have been so many times where I have been flirted with, I've been asked out on a date, I've been asked if I have a boyfriend. So I'm gonna give you my top 5 that I can remember off the top of my head, because this is very spontaneous. So I think I'm not gonna give them in any order. I'm just gonna go ahead and tell them as they are. So the one that's most memorable was, it was a middle-aged guy. He was probably late 20s, early 30s, with his little daughter. He came in and he was ordering a kid's meal, and I was like, sure, yeah, of course. And I was just being nice. I was being the customer service kind of person that I am. And I was like, oh yeah, your daughter's so cute, she's so pretty. And he asked if he could go ahead and go get other food and then bring it in and eat in our lobby. And I made a joke, and I was like, as long as you don't make a mess, because I'm gonna be the one that has to clean it. Completely neutral, right? That's not a flirt at all. And so he was like, well, if I tip you $100, can I go ahead and spill it all over the floor? And I was like, this guy's not gonna tip me $100, but ha, yeah, sure. If you tip me $100, you can do whatever you want to the floor. And I guess he took that in an interesting way, because he went with his daughter, got the food, came back, I gave him the food for his daughter. He sat on a booth closest to my register where I was, and I had given his daughter the little, like, kids packet with drawing. So he was eating, she was eating, it was all good. I thought that was going to be the end of it, and so I moved on. I started sweeping. And then as this guy was leaving, he came up to me and he handed me a $100 bill. A $100 bill. But to my dismay, I looked at it and went, oh, thank you, because he paid $6 for his daughter's kids meal, and I thought it was a real $100 bill. But that's where I was wrong. Guess what, you guys? It was one of those fake gag ones that said $100 on the front, but then if you turned it over, it said, haha, got you? So this man, this grown man, pulled a dad joke on me, but that's not even the worst part. The worst part is, he put his full name and number on the back of that $100 bill and said, call me. I'm in my lower 20s. I'm 21 years old, and this guy, fully grown, had a daughter. I wonder if he had a wife, because how are you just gonna give a young girl, I guess he might not have known, but how are you just gonna give a girl who is like a quarter, that's not true, 3/4 of your age, I'm 10 years younger than you, definitely at least, and he just gave me his number and his full name. I could dox him right now. I could give you guys his number. I couldn't, I don't remember it. But that was one of the most memorable ones, because one, he gave me a $100 bill, and in my mind I was like, this is more money than I make in like 2 to 3 hours of my shift. You just gave me 3 hours worth of work because I smiled at you and said, yeah, spill your food on my floor. So let me just say, that is not Rizz. Do not give a service worker a $100 tip and then it's just your number. That's just a letdown. That just makes me sad. So another one that I remember, it happened recently actually, And so we are a service restaurant where we're like a server, and so you go up to the table and you put things down and you're like, let me know if you need anything else, okay? Enjoy. And so I had gone up to this customer and I have a whole spiel where I'm like, here's this for you. If you need anything else, just come up and ask. Enjoy. And so I went up to this guy. He was kind of flirty at the register, but I didn't really think much of it. I was like, he's probably just being nice. And so I went up to him and I was like, oh yeah, here's your food. If you need anything else, just go ahead and ask. And he went, yeah, actually. And normally people don't say anything. And so I was jump scared. I turned around and I was like, yeah? And I expected him to ask for like another fork, some chopsticks, something else. And he had his phone out on a new contact. And he said, can I get your number, actually? Okay, one, mad Rizz. If I didn't have a boyfriend, maybe, but just because of how much Rizz that exuded. Because that was the most ridiculous pickup line I've ever heard in my life. Your server says, can I get anything else for you? And you say, yeah, actually. How long did it take you to think of that? Was that just in your brain and you were just like, this is how I pick up all women? Or is it just like servers? I don't know. But I had to tell him, I had to let him down gently that I don't think my boyfriend would like me passing out my number. Another one is whenever I'm at the register, we have a rewards program. And so I'll be like, so, are you a rewards member with us? And most of the time, people say, no, because I don't expect them to be. And so there was one time where I was helping this guy, and our system had shut down. There was a whole bunch of stuff that had happened to this poor guy. And so we were just chatting. I made a joke about the weather. I was like, so how's the weather, huh? He thought it was hilarious. He thought it was the funniest thing ever. And then, once the student finally came back up, I was like, oh yeah, so are you a rewards member? And he was like, do I give a number for that? How do we do this? And I was like, yeah, you would give a number. And so he said his number, and then I was like, oh yeah, you're not in our system, sorry. And he went, can I go ahead and tell it to you again? And I was like, yeah, sure. Expecting him to have a different number. And he told me to get a paper and pen because he wanted me to have his number. What? I am always so shocked by this. I shouldn't be shocked anymore, but I'm always so shocked when people flirt with me and they're like, it's because most of the time it's just a simple like, can I have your number? No, sorry. I'm trying to think of two more. There have been plenty, but now that I'm on the spot, I can't think of any. I guess we gotta end it here then. So, this is the first episode of a potential podcast where I come up with a random topic and I talk about it. Most of it will be like personal experiences, I guess. If this does well, I will go ahead and do like personal experiences or whatever people want to hear me talk about. But this was about my job experiences. I brought you through the highs and lows of American football and American jobs, rather. And so I think we're gonna call it quits here. Since this is my first episode, I don't even know what this is gonna be called. It's probably gonna be called like medieval tomfoolery or something like that. I'll come up with an intro and outro, a funny little thumbnail. And if you guys enjoy this, let me know in the comments because I probably won't do it otherwise unless you let me know or you like the video. So make sure to do that. But otherwise, I'll go ahead and see you in my next video. Make sure to watch those.